On the last day of the four-day truce between Israel and Hamas today, Qatar has announced that an agreement has been reached to extend the humanitarian truce for an additional 2 days. However, the release status of Nepali student Bipin Joshi remains uncertain. Good evening, I'm Abhyuday Shrestha and these are the headlines of the hour. Survivors of Jajarkot earthquake losing their lives because of cold weather. 11 victims, including a lactating mother, killed. All assurances limited to promises as the state grows insensitive. President of the largest party at the parliament, Deuba, speaks of secularism, prepared to hold talks inside the party. Premier Dahal speaks of conspiracies against republicanism. Qatar announces an agreement has been reached to extend the humanitarian truce between Israel and Hamas for an additional 2 days as the four-day truce was due to expire after today. Hamas claims same terms apply. And Sporting Ilam secured their first win at the Nepal Super League, edge past Jhapa FC 1-0. A 25-year-old lactating mother, Sarmila Chandara of Tulo Sima in Nalgarh Municipality 8 of Jajarkot, who had been living in a tent after her house was damaged by the earthquake, has succumbed to plummeting cold temperatures. Sharmila was just discharged from the provincial hospital Surkhet last Saturday. She was scheduled to deliver twins. She gave birth to a daughter on 8th of November earlier this month. However, the other baby died before being delivered. Sharmila, who had been spending nights in a tent, had been sick for the past 2 weeks due to the chilly weather condition. After her health deteriorated, Sharmila was taken to the province hospital Kalagaon, Surkhet for further treatment. After being discharged from the hospital, she passed away at the place she was living. The local levels are claiming that they are trying their best to make the lives of the earthquake victims easier. However, due to the increasing cold weather condition, the survivors of the earthquake are spending agonizing nights. Lactating mothers, women in their pregnancies, as well as children in Jajarkot are suffering from the continuous drop in temperature. A total of 11 earthquake victims have died in Jajarkot so far due to the cold weather. The earthquake, with magnitude 6.4 on the Richter scale, and Jajarkot's Ramidara as its epicenter, struck on the night of 3rd of November just before midnight, killed 154 people and injured 346 others. According to the District Disaster Management Committee, there are 2,959 lactating mothers and pregnant women in Jajarkot. Meetings regarding the plight of the survivors of the Jajarkot earthquake victims are held on a daily basis at all 3 local levels. The Prime Minister, Chief Ministers and Ministers have still been making assurances to the survivors. However, women in their pregnancies, lactating mothers and senior citizens are still compelled to knock the government doors for their life. The daily presence of choppers over their heads had ignited hope among the survivors of the earthquake in Jajarkot regarding government support. President Ramchandra Paudel, Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal, Deputy Prime Ministers Narayan Kaji Shrestha and Purnabahadur Khadga, Ministers Sakti Basnet and Prakash Jwala all reached the disaster-hit site in helicopters and returned after taking stock of the impact of the earthquake. However, they have yet to understand the problems of the survivors, as 11 survivors have lost their lives because of the dip in mercury after the earthquake. The government announced 50,000 rupees for each family for the construction of temporary shelters. However, there is no certainty about when they would receive the amount. Death of a lactating mother is a sad evidence of the government indifference. There is no basic preparation even for the women in their pregnancies, lactating mothers, patients, children, and senior citizens. Member of the House of Representatives, Pradeep Paudel, who recently returned from the earthquake-hit area, has said that Jajarkot looks stateless. Choppers of Nepal Army have reached Jajarkot and Rukum West on 72 occasions for rescue and relief after the earthquake. Many leaders traveled in those flights. While a few with injuries were rescued, the local government has no data about those falling ill because of the dip in mercury, and the province and federal governments have remained indifferent. It is the responsibility of the Ministry of Home Affairs for additional rescue of those falling critically ill. With the local residents losing their lives due to cold, the home administration is shying away from its responsibility, citing no information from the local level. The government is yet to deploy a medical team for the treatment of the patients who are still compelled to take shelter under the chilly open sky. Women in their pregnancies, lactating mothers, children, and senior citizens are struggling for blankets. Even in such a situation, the Ministry of Health and Population has been pointing towards the local and provincial governments while deploying a team of only 3 staff. A team of the State Affairs and Good Governance Committee had taken stock of the earthquake-hit area immediately after the earthquake. However, its directives to the government have also remained ignored. Long time has gone by since the government started talking about temporary shelters. However, the complicated procedure has left that promise also stranded. If works are to continue at this pace, more survivors are certain to face additional problems. The President, Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Ministers, ministers and several politicians reached Jajarkot after the earthquake of November 3 with its epicenter in Ramidana. These leaders assured the earthquake survivors of rescue, relief and resettlement. However, those assurances are yet to materialize. Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal had reached Jajarkot on the wee hours of November 4, taken stock of the disaster-hit area and assured of immediate reconstruction and resettlement. Deputy Prime Ministers Narayan Kaji Shrestha and Purnabahadur Khadka, Ministers Sakti Basnet and Prakash Jwala followed suit. President Ramchandra Paudel reached Jajarkot and returned after promising the local residents of initiating talks with the government regarding their relief and arrangements of temporary resettlement. The trend of high-ranking officials reaching Jajarkot did not end there. Leaders of Nepali Congress, CPN-UML, CPN Maoist Center and Rashtriya Swatantra Party, among other parties, and a team of the Parliamentary Committee also reached the disaster site. While all of them heard the grievances of the survivors, their assurances have been limited to mere promises. The Meteorological Forecasting Division under the Department of Hydrology and Meteorology has informed that the temperatures will further dip in the earthquake-affected districts of Jajarkot and Rukum West. The division has forecasted snowfall in the country's high hilly and Himalayan regions for the next 3 days. According to the Meteorological Forecasting Division, the temperature recorded at the Jajarkot Weather Center last Friday was 9.7 degrees Celsius, while it was below 5 degrees Celsius today. Likewise, the temperature at the high hilly region was below 4 degrees Celsius today. Meteorologist at the Forecasting Division, Meen Kumar Aryal, informed that the temperatures will continue to drop. It was colder in Jajarkot today as it was cloudy throughout the country due to the effects of the westerly winds formed around India's Rajasthan region. The Meteorological Forecasting Division has also urged everyone to stay alert and safe from snowfall and the cold weather condition throughout the country. In our Public Voice segment today, we have asked people in several provinces what should be done to make the government sensitive towards protecting the life of earthquake victims and survivors. Let's take
राज्यको सम्पूर्ण अङ्गहरू चाहिँ 24 घण्टा एक्टिभ हुनुपर्छ।
जहाँ गाडी पुग्दैन, जहाँ अलिकति दुर्गम ठाउँ छ, त्यो ठाउँमा पनि सरकारले अरु कुनै माध्यमबाट राहतहरू पुर्याउनुपर्छ।
कर्मचारी त्यो खटाएर छिटो छरितो रियल कुरा बुझेर त्यसको सहयोग गर्नु पर्यो।
एकद्वार प्रणाली माध्यम अथवा केही माध्यम हुन्छ, हामीले राहत चाहिँ ठाउँमा त पुग्न पर्यो, तर ठ्याक्क पीडितलाई पुग्न पर्यो।
चारो बना चाहिँ राहत पुर्याउनु पर्यो।
चिसोले मैले राहत दिनलाई न्यानो तातोको लागि व्यवस्था गर्न पर्यो।
President of Nepali Congress, the largest party of the House of Representatives, had said that he was prepared to hold discussions inside the party regarding secularism. At the 1st District Conference of Nowalpur, Nepali Congress President Sherbahadur Deuba has hinted towards discussions on secularism. However, he clarified that any activity against federalism and republicanism would not be acceptable. The 9-point declaration of the meeting of the reinstated House of Representatives held on 4th of Jyeshtha after the popular movement of 2062-63 Bikram Samvat had arrangement for Nepal as a secular state. Later, the first point of the 5-point proposal endorsed by the first meeting of the Constituent Assembly held on May 28, 2008 had declared Nepal as a secular country. Meanwhile, at today's program, Nepali Congress General Secretary Gagan Thapa said that the party leadership was making all possible efforts to erase the lack of clarity among the public and the party cadres. Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal has said that conspiracies are underway against federal democratic republicanism in the country. Addressing a program organized to mark the 6th Social Security Day, Prime Minister Dahal said that conspiracies were underway against the existing federal democratic republicanism. He added that the pages of history could not be turned back. He also stated that the political parties and leaders who played their part in instituting republicanism in the country would proceed together in unity against such conspiracies. Premier Dahal said that the government was also making initiatives to address economic issues. He noted that discussions have been held with political parties, economists, and representatives of the private sector for the same. Dahal also assured of proceeding by easing issues related to microfinances, cooperatives, and interest rate of banks. Prime Minister Dahal added that a circular had been issued to address the problems of landless squatters and poor managed settlements. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Devraj Giri, has claimed that the government itself had applied brakes on additional operation of the meetings of the Parliament and its committees. At the meeting with chairpersons of the parliamentary committees held today at Singhadarbar, Speaker Giri claimed that the government was restricting budget for additional meetings. He said that the government had to be explained about the regular operation of the Parliament and the committees, and added that the Ministry of Finance had reduced the budget. Speaker Giri also said that topics were repeated at the parliamentary committees and their jurisdiction lacked clarity. Also speaking at the meeting, chairpersons of the committees lamented at the government indifference in implementing their decisions. The number of self-employed and human resource of the informal sector is yet to be integrated with the Social Security Fund because of complicated working procedure. Only 32 self-employed and 3 workers of the informal sector have joined the Social Security Fund in 3.5 months of the introduction of the working procedure for their inclusion. The number of workers of the informal sector has not increased as they require to be listed from the local level where they operate. Those self-employed also require recommendation from the local levels where their business runs. Only 7 local levels have begun listing workers of the informal sector. On the occasion of the 6th Social Security Day, Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal said that all local levels would be registered to increase the number of participants in the program. In the 6 years of establishment of the Social Security Fund, only 461,000 employees and 18,000 employers of the formal sector have been listed. 466,000 leaving for foreign employment have been listed in the past 8 months. Trade unions have been demanding for listing of all employers inside the country by introducing mandatory requirement or laws. It's now time for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
But before that, let's take a look at the results from yesterday's poll. Yesterday, we had asked you, what's your take on increasing number of students failing nursing exams? 59% voted for A, poor learning, 11% voted for B, lack of monitoring, and 30% voted for C, students not serious. Here's today's question. Why have employers not shown interest in being listed in the Social Security Fund? Your options are A, fear of increase in responsibility, B, insensitive towards employees, and C, not a mandatory provision. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B, or C, and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. And it's time now for the international update. Qatar has just announced that an agreement has been reached to extend the humanitarian truce for an additional 2 days. The truce had been due to expire after today. Qatar has been mediating the talks between Israel and Hamas. Israel has notified the families of hostages due to be released today, the Prime Minister's office has just confirmed. The statement did not specify how many hostages would be released. It is the fourth exchange of Israeli hostages for Palestinian prisoners in 4 days as part of the temporary truce deal. A Hamas official has just told Reuters news agency in a phone call that the temporary truce will have the same conditions as in the previous truce. The current truce sees one hostage freed by Hamas in exchange for the release of 3 Palestinians detained in Israel and has seen 39 Israeli hostages released in exchange for 117 Palestinian prisoners.
Sports news.
New entrants Ilam Sporting FC have secured their first win at the Nepal Super League. In the match played at the Dasrat Stadium in Tripureshwar today, Ilam edged past star forward Anjan Bishtad-led Jhapa FC 1-0. Despite chances for both teams, first half of the match had ended goalless. Ilam had a penalty in the 82nd minute, but Amath Ndra failed to convert the opportunity. However, Ndra made amends 4 minutes before time as he made no mistake with a rebound effort. In their first match, Ilam had suffered a defeat against defending champions Kathmandu Razors. In the Nepal Super League match slated for tomorrow, Chitwan FC take on Kathmandu. That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Good night.